Namaskar and good evening, everyone. Welcome to Women Shine Show. This is a show. ये हमने इनफैक्ट ये शो हमने पहली बार हम लोग कर रहे हैं इस ईयर में, जिसमें एक फैन, एक सेलिब्रिटी विल टॉक विद द फैंस. सो एक तरह का चिट चैट होगा इसमें फैन एंड सेलिब्रिटी के साथ. सो टू बिगिन दिस लाइव सेशन, वी हैव one of the famous celebrities. In fact, of our years when we were studying, we used to really admire her like anything. So she's none other than Kitu Gidwani.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome,
I'm so
Kitu.
happy to be here.
And also, without wasting much of time, I would like to introduce Roma. She will be the moderator of the session today. So the format will be, there'll be a chit chat with Kitu and Roma, and then I would request fans to ask questions. You can write your questions in the chat box also, and Roma will pick up the questions from there. So over to Roma.
Hi everyone, good evening and welcome Kituji live on our Women Shine magazine platform. And like she said, like Aparna ji said, we all a huge fan of yours from the yesteryear till today. And let me also compliment you that you haven't changed a bit and you look exactly the same as we used to see you in our years back.
Oh my God, thank you so much. I don't think that's true, but if you think so, that's great.
It is. No, it is true. It is true. Because we have seen you, in Air Hostess and all, and now I'm seeing you. And I'll just interrupt Roma in between because I'm so overwhelmed, Kitu, when I was studying, I used to see your serial, and तब तो इंटरनेट था नहीं, तो जब भी पेपर में निकलता था मैगजीन्स में योर, हम काट के अपने वॉल पे जरूर लगाते थे उसको. आई एम सच अ ह्यूज फैन ऑफ योर्स.
I'm so flattered and so happy. Thank you. I've been in this industry for 30 years, and I must say it's been an amazing journey for me. So I never thought it would turn out this way, but it's been great.
All right, great. So those who have joined us right now, let me give you a brief introduction. कहना तो बहुत ही बड़ी बात होगी because this woman doesn't need any introduction. Like we all know, and we have always been watching her and admiring her, and somewhere wanted to look like her with those bob cut hair and lovely pretty face, and that she still has. So those who have joined us, let me tell you, we are in conversation with Kitu Gidwani and a little bit about her background. Kaushalya Gidwani, and she is popularly known as Kitu. ये मेरे लिए भी एक piece of information थी when I was looking into your profile. And she has worked in several televisions and television series and movies, and she has a long span of career as an actor, as a model, and a lot many things in the background that I got to know when I was trying to find out more about you. I'll not waste much of her time. Popular face as Svetlana from Swabhiman, Junoon, Shaktiman, so many names that we have always been watching from our growing years. So, Kitu ji, while we are here, मैंने ये पढ़ा था that you started your journey as a professional journey as an air hostess. So, what happened exactly? हमें जानना है कि हुआ क्या that you turned towards serials and you started your journey as an actor.
Oh, but that's not true, Roma, because I never was an air hostess. That was my famous TV series which came out in 1986.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Actually, that was my second series. The first series was called Trishna. And that was actually my first big acting, project, which I got. I was really nervous because I had been only doing...
You were Ruhi in that, right? Your character.
I was playing... Yeah. I was playing the youngest, the second youngest sister. There were 4 sisters. And it's based on the famous book Pride and Prejudice. And it's a very famous story. It's an English novel, right? It was, I think, written in the 19th century or the early 20th century. And it was about the family with 4 sisters and all the same thing that goes on in India when trying to get your daughters married and, all that kind of family drama. Actually, it was a very famous novel, Pride and Prejudice. And there was a lady from Doordarshan who decided to adapt it to Hindi and bring it to the small screen. And that was my first acting assignment. And the second acting assignment was air hostess. But I was never a professional air hostess. I
Okay,
never
that's
wanted.
my bad. That's how I misread it. So good that we cleared it. So that's how you started your. So, but if I'm not mistaken, you were studying French in your post graduation, and that's where something happened, and you got into movies and series. Is that true?
No, so I was always interested in acting on stage. I just, whenever in school and in college, I would always take part in the drama competitions, and I would never take part in all those, fashion shows and all those. Used to really, I used to get, I used to really look down on all that. Frankly, I used to say, what is that rubbish? Just, walking and pretending to be hip and glamorous and all. And I would always take part in the theater competitions and the plays, the dramas, even in college. And at the same time in college, I was also studying French separately at the same time in college before my graduation. And it was like a combination of doing college and studying French and also taking part in theater, in plays. Okay. And then when I finished college, I studied French further at the Alliance Française, which is a kind of a French government organization which is all over the world, where they open branches in different cities in the world, and they offer French classes up to a very high level.
Yeah.
So after college, I continued studying at the Alliance Française, and so I was doing theater, and I was doing theater at Alliance Française in French as well.
Okay.
So you could say I was participating a lot in theater, and I learned how to become a good stage actress. And then suddenly I got a job as a model after college. And so then I started modeling and earning money and also doing theater. So, it was, so I was getting prepared. I was preparing myself as an actress, and I was also modeling. And then once in 1985, I did a lot of big modeling campaigns. And then I got an offer to do air hostess. First I did Trishna, and then I got an offer to do this big one called air hostess.
That's so awesome. And while we are talking about French, if I've read it right, you have also worked in a couple of French movies or one or two French movies. Last I read was something named as Black. Can you tell us more about your French movie career and how was your experience working with, in that
So that also happened really fast. Like so from college all the way till 1985, I was modeling. Then 1985, I got Trishna, which was actually broadcast on Doordarshan. And right now the episodes are available on YouTube.
Yeah.
Then in 1986, I did Air Hostess, which was only 13 episodes, but it was such a smash hit. It's a big smash hit. And then 1987, I started doing other projects on television. I did a detective serial called Khoj, which was 26 episodes. Yes. And at the same time, this lady contacted me from Paris and said, we are making a film in France. Would you like to act? Because we've seen your photographs, and my husband is coming to India and he's seen your photographs, and we would love to have you in our film. And of course, I jumped at the chance because I'm speaking French. And I'm also, my career as an actress has taken off. And so I flew to Paris. And I did this film called Black in 1987. So actually, so that was one of my first films, which was a French film. I don't think any other actress has done a French film as one of her first films in her career. And it was amazing because it was a wonderful script. And I finished that Black in 1987. Then I came back and I continued to act in television.
That is so wonderful, and I mean, actually, it's very inspiring because, right, like you said, that thinking about French cinema way back in 1987 would have been a very, very big deal for any Indian actor. And in fact, there were only a handful of Indian actresses who were working this, in such a diversified manner. You were modeling and you were all over the television. Doordarshan was kind of your oyster. I remember my parents, especially my mother, she used to glue to the television when your Swabhiman used to play, and that Svetlana became an overnight hit, and I still remember that power grid that you had in that character was amazing. So something
Yeah,
that I was
so
really,
actually, Svetlana was much, 15
yeah,
years later. It is like a bookend because it was my last major starring role, actually. That series was one of the first daily soaps, actually.
right.
And I think apart from mine, there was only another one called Shanti, and
हाँ,
mine was Shanti with Mandira Bedi, and mine and Swabiman, and then I don't know, maybe one more, but I think we were the first daily soaps. And I remember in those days, everyone was telling me, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this? It's such hard work, you know." And but I just grabbed it because that was towards the end of my career. So maybe we should go there, big, or not career, but towards the end of those, the big television series that I did.
Right.
So that ended in 2000.
Okay.
Yeah. So in between, I did so much other work. I did many films with Govind Nihalani, who was a path-breaking filmmaker, like Shyam Benegal ji,
Yeah.
and he was a same art filmmaker like Shyam Benegal. And I also did a very famous series called Junoon, which also ran for 4 years. And then I did, even though that was a weekly, it was not a daily, but it ran for 4 years, you know, and it was very famous. Junoon, and it was produced by Cinevista,
Yeah.
and it was again a big hit because it was a very kind of it was like a bit like Dynasty, Dallas, those famous American television serials about tycoons, business
Yeah.
tycoons, and then all the drama taking place in these big hotels and things like that. So it was a different kind from Air Hostess.
Right.
It was a different kind of series from Air Hostess. It was one of those. It had all these celebrities, so-called celebrities in it, and business
Power moves.
tycoons and business deals, and all that kind of thing. And after that, I did many I must have done at least 20 different television series between uh, 1985 and 2000. 15 years, I must have done 15, 20, 30 series. Some of them lasted long, some of them didn't last long, some of them were very beautifully written. So I did lots. Swabiman was the last big one, actually.
Right. So yeah, I kind of read this whole list of movies and television series that you did, and you are right, and the kind of roles that you have done. I've seen the kind of diversification of the roles actually that you have done, from the soft roles to really powerful ones, to even some of them were really relatable, and some of them were really big into power games that women of today were like into, kind of aspirational for them. So while you did all of this, and was it somewhere impacting you, or when you do a certain role and then you come back to home, and does that impression last as an actor, as a person? Does that impact your whole life when you come back, or you're able to mark a demarcation there?
No, I'm fairly stable in the sense that I don't go crazy when I'm shooting and all that. I don't believe in all that. I believe that it's at the end of the day, it's your profession, it's your vocation, and I don't I'm not into all that kind of method acting where you completely immerse yourself, and when you come home also you're in the character and all that. I don't really go there because I don't need it. I don't need to do that. I feel that you should be able to work when you're supposed to work, and when you're with your family, then you're with your family. And so I've done so much work for 30 years, but I've never been impacted to that extent. Maybe I've never done a role which is so dark or disturbing, you know. But otherwise, I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. I'm able to immerse myself in the role when I have to act. And sometimes I do a lot of preparation, yes. But once it's over, it's over. I don't, like I said, maybe I've not done a role of, say, somebody who's psychotic or a murderer or something like that, where it affects me very deeply. So yeah.
So, I have read interviews of many other actor and actresses, and some of them, always said that there was a crazy fan and you came out, some fan actually did believe that you are that particular role that you're playing. So did it ever happen? Did you come across a psychopath is not the right word, something interesting that would have happened outside your stage or outside the camera, in your real life? So if any fan or anybody came across and acted weird on you because of your role?
Weird. Well, you get some crazy people over the years, but nothing disturbing has happened to me. I'm like, no one showing on my doorstep and saying, marry me now, otherwise I'll kill you or something like that. Nothing like that for me. Thank you very much. I don't think I'm that famous, thank God. But yeah, I mean, people do make hurtful comments like, I hated you in this television serial, I hated you. And I always feel, do you have, what kind of an IQ do you have? Are you, maybe you need to see a shrink.
Did they say that to you? On your face, you need to see a shrink?
No, no one has said that to me. No, I say that because if somebody's putting a nasty comment like, oh, I hate you or something like, okay, get a life. Because, sometimes people don't differentiate. Like, in those mythological serials, you remember who was playing Krishna? Bhagwan Krishna, somebody was playing, and then
Nitish Bharadwaj.
Arun Govil, I don't know.
Yes, Arun Govil. You're absolutely right. He was praised as a lord later on as well. So people
and I think it's dangerous because if the actor really starts thinking that he's God, then then there's a serious problem there. But I think that sometimes fans can't differentiate between you as a person and the work that you do, as an actor.
Correct.
But that's very it hasn't happened, and nothing. This thing has happened to me. I mean, people do say funny things like, if I did a couple of Saas Bahu television serials and then people start abusing you and calling you a terrible Saas, and excuse me, I'm not even married, so I'm playing the Saas on television.
How interesting. I know that there are a lot of interesting stories, I'm sure, that they must have happened with you, because that has happened. That used to happen a lot way back then when, television was not that rampant and there were not many serials that you used to play. So people actually used to kind of relate with the character as their own. Any particular character that has stayed in your mind? Koi aisa role jo aapko hamesha yaad rahe, something that you have done and you really deeply, loved doing that part?
Well, I've just several parts that I've loved playing. I mean, I can say that I have loved playing that part. But there are many reasons for that, because one can be that you like the story of the film and it's a lovely story and you feel you relate to that story. Another thing could be that that particular character appeals to you as a character. So I have done a film called Earth with Deepa Mehta, where I played a Parsi woman during partition in Lahore. It was a very famous film. It had Nandita Das, Amir Khan, Rahul Khanna, myself, Arif Zakaria, and we recreated the Lahore in the 1940s.
It was a beautiful movie. What lovely music it had. Beautiful
music, and it kind of, because my background is actually, my parents were from Sindh, before the partition. So it kind of appealed to me because I could feel what my parents must have been feeling when they had to leave their homeland and come to Bombay as refugees. Of course, they were kids. So I played a Parsi woman in that film. And I really loved playing that because I have so many Parsi friends, and all listening to them talk over the years with that specific way of, and I was able to immediately get into the character and play this Parsi woman called Bunty, and wearing those beautiful clothes of those days, those lovely Parsi saris, and it was a very innocent time and it was a very troubled time. So I really enjoyed that film because the way it was shot by Deepa Mehta, and the cast and everything, and the story was fabulous. The other projects. All the projects I've done with Govind Nihalani, I have loved because he's a mind-blowing director. And I have done 2 major films with him, both of which were very actually disturbing films. And I really enjoyed doing those. Those are very difficult roles to play as well. And so those roles have stayed with me. And I don't know, I wish I could do another film with Govindji. Then I did a very wonderful film called Dance of the Wind. And that actually got me the Best Actress award in a very big international film festival in France. And that role is very dear to my heart because I gave everything to that role, and it was a tough role. It was the role of an Indian classical singer, a khayal singer, and that again was a very disturbing role to play because it's the role of a woman who's a very sensitive artist and who actually loses her mind after her mother dies. And it's a whole story of going into the depths of darkness and despair and then coming out again. So that role has stayed very close to me, and it got us a lot of awards internationally. And of course, it got me a very prestigious Best Actress award.
The Continent Festival Award of France, if I'm not mistaken, 1998 that was.
1998, the Festival of Three Continents. It was a very famous film festival.
Yeah.
And we got many awards in the London Film Festival and in Amsterdam and all that.
Yeah, you're one of those early actresses who made India proud on an international frame, and that's how we all would always remember, the kind of work that you have done. You were mentioning that your parents were refugees from Sindh, Pakistan, and I am a Sindhi and I can relate to it because most of our, previous grandfather and all, they were all from Sindh and they somehow had to migrate during the partition. Tell me something, in the early 80s, it would have been a little difficult call to take up a non-conventional career like this. Was there ever a resistance from your family? You have a brother also. Was there ever a resistance that you never were supported? Because that was a bold step back then. ये सोचा जाता था, फिल्में और टेलीविजन लड़कियों के लिए बहुत ज़्यादा, they were not very popular back then in terms of career options.
No. You see, my parents were extremely broad-minded and very, because they had to get uprooted and leave. I think that when you are forced to make such a big change in your life, you kind of develop new values and new ideas and new principles and new ideas. So my parents, because they were very independent, our family was not living in the Sindhi colony in Bandra where my cousins live, where all my aunts and uncles used to live there. So I think that Sindhis, many of them have become very cosmopolitan and very open-minded and very, they're not rooted in those. Anyway, Sindhis, I feel as a community, I think Sindhis anyway are not very dogmatic. That's a feeling I get. Because
I'll second that.
I feel like they don't have those drawbacks like maybe some other communities, because Sindhis are they want to go abroad and open shops and start businesses and trading, and also it's a lot of open-mindedness and a desire to travel and explore. And I think my parents, once we were in South Bombay, it is a very cosmopolitan area, South Bombay, because it's not, there is no one community or ethnicity which is like it's not all Gujarati or all Punjabi or all Maharashtrian, right? South Bombay, I've always had friends from all backgrounds. And my parents were extremely broad-minded. My mother was working in an American oil company, which was called Esso. In those days, it was Esso. It became Exxon later. So she was working in an American company, and my father was working in a Swiss airline. So we were just traveling all over the world, and my father had so many foreign friends. So it wasn't a very traditional Indian upbringing, I must say. It was very westernized in many ways. So there was no thing of, no, you just have to learn how to cook and get married and by the time you're 18 or 20. Like many of my other cousins, they did that. Many of my other cousins, by the time they were 20 or 22, they were married off, right? And I was the only crazy one who was traveling all over the world and shooting and modeling, and I was never at home. So my parents, I think, frankly, they gave up on me after a while because they realized I'm not going to listen to them. And they had to let me do what I wanted to do. Otherwise, there would be chaos, hell at home. So they realized that I was very creative and that I should be given a free hand. And that's exactly what they did. But my brother was different because my brother needed little more guidance, and not that I didn't, but I feel that he needed more guidance. So he was slightly more conventional. He did computer science, and then he went off to America. By the time he was 20, he was in the US. But for me, surprisingly, there was no pressure as such. As a woman, I could do what I wanted.
That's so wonderful, and I'm sure those cousins, those who are listening right now, would be thinking that's the other way around. They were the crazy one, and you did a right call, traveling around the world and seeing the world your way. Wow, this is so inspirational in a way. So before I, call, we have got a couple of people, your huge fans, those we have selected to ask you questions. So before I do that, just one last thing that I want to ask: what keeps you going? Because Trishna happened way back in 80s, and now with your latest series, like if I'm not mistaken, Kashish and Kulvadu, some of your latest works, and you are still going on and on and on, and that is wonderful actually. But what keeps you going? What keeps you motivated? What is that one thing that you get up to and you are still so energetic and beautiful and young and everything? So what is that one thing that keeps you going?
I don't think there's just one thing, Roma. I feel that, in fact, I feel sometimes I've got too many interests, and sometimes I feel I will never accomplish anything because I want to study music, and I want to continue studying dance, and I want to do work in animal welfare, and I want to write a film. And I feel sometimes, in fact, I've taken on too much, and that there's not just one thing. I feel I'm just generally enjoying life a lot, and I have to travel a lot. In fact, I'm planning to travel and travel and travel for the next 2 years. And I feel that I have to keep myself young and healthy if I want to be on screen, right? So that's a good motivation to remain young, healthy, to eat well, to exercise. So that's the whole part of health. But I think more important than that is spiritually and mentally. I tend to be very young at heart. I tend to be very curious about people, about life. I feel very curious about so many things, and I feel that I really have to learn a lot, in the time that I have left. So it's not one thing. It's not like I only want to be famous, or I only want money, or I only want to just act. I like I said, I feel I have taken on too many interests, and I have no time, so I have to just keep going.
Wow, you are a true Libra at heart and in your conduct is what I'll say. Do we have people who want to ask her questions?
Yeah, we have very much Parvati Yadav, which is here. I'll just take her live.
Yes, please. So we have Miss Parvati who is a huge fan of yours, and we have selected a couple of fan of yours to come and ask you a question. Hi Parvati, can you hear us, please?
Can you hear us? Good evening. Hi, good evening, Kituji, and good evening, everyone. And I'm true admirer of Kituji. And in fact, I thank her because she made me a hostess. After watching a serial, I became a hostess.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Parna said we used to admire you so much, and especially the serial where you wore Lucknow chicken saris.
Where in the houses?
Trisha, lot of close eyes on your dressing sense and style and your costumes, लखनऊ से आपको बहुत मोहब्बत है और मोहब्बत लखनऊ वालों को आपसे बहुत है.
अरे वाह,
बहुत पुराने मुरीद हैं और पुराने प्रशंसक हैं, और लखनऊ की तहजीब ये कहती है कि जो सच्चा कलाकार हो उसको इतना प्यार दो, इतना मशहूर कर दो कि हर कोई देखे, और हम लोग देखते थे और अपनी फ्रेंड्स को भी बोलते थे, देखो देखो ये हॉस्टेस मिस नहीं करना, आ जाएगा, राइट, इतने बजे आएगा। सो उस समय तो नेशनल एक चैनल होता था, डीडी मेट्रो होता था, और हम लोग बस इसी में अटके रहते थे। उस समय की सिनेमा, टॉलीवुड एंड बॉलीवुड, एंड टुडे सिनेमा वेयर यू हैव सो मेनी चैनल्स, सो मेनी। मैं सिर्फ ये आपसे पूछना चाहती हूँ, यू आर वर्सेटाइल, यू आर ब्यूटिफुल, यू आर टैलेंटेड, यू आर फ्लाइंग बर्ड। आप आज के समय के यूथ को क्या मैसेज देना चाहेंगे कि वो सही डायरेक्शन में अपने आप को ले जा सके? थैंक यू।
अरे मैं इतनी बोझ नहीं लेना चाहती हूँ, सॉरी, मैं प्राइम मिनिस्टर नहीं हूँ। थैंक यू। मेरे कंधों पे ये बोझ मत डालो। मैं बोलूंगी सिर्फ, मैं यूथ को, मैं अगर मुझे पॉलिटिशियन बनना है मैं ये बोलूंगी, लेकिन मैं पॉलिटिशियन नहीं बनना चाहती हूँ। सो व्हाट आई से इज दैट youth of India, I would say, is again, there are so many thousand things to say. You know, only a politician will give you one sandesh and think that he is God or something. No, no, no. I don't think there is one message for the youth. I think youth of India should be proud of their country, number one. The youth of India should study India's true history. The youth of India should understand India's dharma. And the youth of India should understand India's philosophy. The youth of India should study the Vedas. The youth of India should also study Western ideas. Anything that makes you progress, anything that makes you more intelligent, anything that makes you more tolerant, anything that makes you serve your country, anything that makes you serve your neighbors, your fellow citizens. I would tell the youth of India, first, study hard, look after yourself, earn some money, and then serve your fellow citizens. Because if we do not do that, then our country is going to go downhill. So that is just one of the messages. I mean, there are 1,000 things. Like, it's taken me so many years to understand what life is all about. You know, you have to learn. You have to learn how to take responsibility for your life. You have to learn how to earn money. You have to learn how to be tough. Right? So I would say that always follow the good path, and don't try to take things easy. Don't think that things become easy. Things are never easy in life. Right? And so that's what I'm saying. I think you follow, like for me, Gandhiji is my ideal. So follow the truth, Satya. Right? So those are some of the few things I would say to the youth of this country.
Right message to right people. Lot of youth is connected right now on Facebook. You wanted to know how many? We'll tell you later on.
What?
Thank you, Parvati ji, for the lovely questions. And I think Kitu ji has tried to assimilate a lot of things to answer you in a correct manner and a non-political manner, which I'll always remember. So coming in line, we have got Padma Sinha, who's waiting to ask the question. Can I have Padma here on? Hi, Padma. Can you hear us?
Hi, Roma, and thanks, Aparna, for giving me this opportunity to talk to Kitu. I'm a great fan of yours, Kitu Gidwani, and
thank you.
I'm a retired bank officer, so you can understand you're talking to a very old person. But you are the face, you know. Means what I could say that Kitu Gidwani is only which I come across is air hostess. So that was the only serial, and at that time you can understand ki there were not so many serials. So you were the icon of fashion, glamour, and personality. So that thing, that Kitu Gidwani is in my mind. Whatever happened later, I don't know. So I'm meeting that Kitu Gidwani and that lovely person. And when Aparna told me, I was so excited. I said, yes, I want to talk to her. I have no questions, but I want to praise her. I want to be with her. And I really, and it was so nice. I heard so many things about you. And it is really very nice to know that you were not air hostess, but your father was. So
not air hostess.
Not air hostess, but he was working in airlines. So you must be having some idea before doing that serial. So that only. But really nice meeting you. And if you want to say something, you are there to hear you.
No, I'm so happy that you still remember me from Air Hostess. Even after that, I've done 30 years of work. You have no idea.
I have an idea. I have seen all your serials like Krishna and all those, but that serial has impact on us. That I'm saying. So that
I
only.
think
Yeah,
that's why she will immortalize your image in her mind with your
Yeah, in my mind,
right,
it is Air
right.
Hostess. Yeah.
So Padma, thanks. That is wonderful, and we loved listening to you. Jaldi se ek screenshot le lo so that you can immortalize this moment.
Yes. Thank you.
Next in line, we have got Dr. Preeti Bawa Talwar and one of our selected ones to ask question from Kitu. Hi, Preeti. Dr. Preeti, right? Hi.
Hi.
Ma'am, you're not audible.
You're on mute.
Okay.
Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah.
please?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm a big fan of yours from the
Thank
Air
you.
Hostess days. Yeah. And really loved you in that serial. And after that, the Swabhiman and that Ye Un Dino Ki Baat. And this recent one. I can't tell you how it was enjoyable seeing you. But I want to ask you one question. You look so glamorous from that time onwards till now. You haven't changed at all. And how does it feel that earlier those episodes doing on Air Hostess, then that Svetlana and Ye Un Dino Ki Baat, and now this web series which you are going to do, this Potluck. What's the difference like? And which role do you find, which you are essaying that is the best you would like to tell me?
I think Air Hostess was fabulous, of course, because it was my first major
Yes.
series and it was such a emotional series. I mean, who thought that in one small aircraft, in that kitchen, so much drama will happen?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Of course, there was also drama on the ground in the house and all that, but all that love affair and all that, and the crying in the galley. Who thought? So next time you're on an aircraft, you should go to the galley and see whether all the drama is going on with all the air hostesses and all.
Okay.
But no, it was a very fun television series because I think that it was my first major one where I was playing the lead. So I had to be very good in every episode because it was just me. And all hats off to credit to Vinod Pandey because he wrote this very, it was actually almost like a soap opera in the air, I mean, it was like very emotional, the whole thing. It was all about love affairs and breaking up and family drama and all that. So I was very fond of that series. But of course, it was 30 years ago. So I've kind of, I moved on since then. And then I love doing Junoon because Junoon, I played this fiery, spoiled kid, spoiled child kind of rich man's daughter, who always wants her own way and, very tempestuous and full of emotion again and all that. So I love doing that role. Then in between, I did so many other. I did the role of I did a politician's role. I did a journalist's role. I did so many other different television series. I've even forgotten the names. And then I did Swabhiman, of course, which was again for 4 years. So I'm very fond of that role because again, it was a very full of emotion about a woman who was being deprived of her jaidad, if you want to say, the man she loved, whatever he left her, the family is fighting with her for that money and property. And because they think that she's a bad woman because she was his mistress. And so it kind of wanted to show people that to be more broad-minded, because just because you are not married to the man, but he still loves you and you have his children, so aren't you entitled to what he left you? So it was a kind of a path-breaking role in that sense, because it brought up the role of what if a man has a second wife or a mistress whom he really loves, does she not have any rights in society? Today, I don't think people would have such a big debate about it, because People are much more broad-minded, and these things are going on, in fact, now, So that was a role which I was really fond of, Svetlana. And of course, so many feature film roles I've done. I'm very fond of them. I would say that most roles I do, if I didn't like them, I would not do them. So even nobody has asked me about Shaktiman. I'm shocked. All my thousands of Shaktiman friends, those people are the most mad people, Roma, because they will call me Geeta Vishwas, Geeta Vishwas, Geeta Vishwas.
I know. I was about to ask you, in fact, that one. I was about to ask you कि शक्तिमान का क्या हुआ? उसके लिए तो लोग suicide कर रहे थे for all that drama happening in that series. My goodness. I think any Indian series that I've watched, this was the one that impacted the audience most, in terms of the psychological shaping of an Indian superhero character of their own. So yes, please tell us about Shaktiman. And I'm sure कोई crazy fan जरूर रहा होगा जो आपको गीता विश्वास real life में समझता होगा.
Geeta Vishwas.
Well, I never took it so seriously, guys, because for me it was a comedy role, and I love comedy. And Dinkar Jani, who is he's my jigar ka tukra. He wanted me for this role, and it was opposite Mukesh Khanna. And in a sense, I did think that Mukesh Khanna looked a bit too old for me, or I was too young for him. But we had a great time doing comedy together. We gelled very well. I loved acting opposite Mukesh. And I had a blast because we used to do all these action scenes, and me running from the crooks on a scooter and falling down, and all these fights with the crooks, and then waiting for Shaktiman to come and do dishum dishum. And also for me, I never took it seriously. I was doing it as a lark, as a fun role, as comedy, because that's what it was. And unfortunately, I left after about 12, 13 episodes because I got offered something else and I had to leave. So I never really followed all the madness that happened later. But I knew it's a huge...
I loved absolutely watching you there in those episodes, because तब हम बच्चे थे और हमारे लिए शक्तिमान was a big super series was something we used to really wait, in front of the television कि अब आएगा और हम देखेंगे. So that was a kind of impact the series had.
Yeah, but for me, I tell you, what sticks in my mind was Dinkar Jani's direction, and the fact that I got to do these, Mukesh and I did all these crazy scenes, and even when we are tied up and about to be killed, we are bickering with each other and making jokes and all that about, and because he was always dressed in that Gangadhar outfit, and every time I used to look at Mukesh with the Gangadhar outfit, I would just start laughing. So for me, frankly, I didn't follow all the drama that came after that, because I went on to other projects. But I have very fond memories of that role, and I only wish I had stayed on and done more, because it would have meant doing more comedy, and that kind of slapstick comedy, which I love and I think I'm really good at. That's the only regret I have with that serial, is that I didn't do more, because it gave me a chance to act in comedy. I know Mukesh will be shocked, because he thinks that, very important serials for children, but I think comedy is also very good for kids.
I'm sure it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you, Dr. Preeti. You brought back so many lovely memories for Kitu. And we had a good time listening to you. So coming in line, I've got a very dear friend of mine from Lucknow, Tanya Sahani, who wants to ask you a question, Kitu.
Hi Kitu ji, and it's a pleasure to see you. Thank you, Aparna. Thank you so much. Thank you, Roma. So my question, I'm a nutritionist by profession. So my question is, what is your magic potion? Since Swabhiman days, you have the same poise, the same grace. What is that? I am definitely going to learn from you today.
You should see me at night with my hair all over the place when I'm feeding all my stray cats, and holding cat food and going, meow, meow, where are you talking to all the cats. You will not recognize me, because I wear dirty clothes and I'm carrying bags of cat food, and I'm calling each cat with the name and running after them like a mad woman. People think I'm mad. In my area, people think I'm mad. So
And
But,
I'm sure each one of us, actually, when we are in our pajamas, are in the same phase. But still, what is your magic portion of staying so energetic? And I remember your character in Swabhiman. It used to come in at 3:30 on DD Metro, and हमारी सारी family जो थी, मैं, मम्मा और मेरे brother sister, हम लोग बैठ जाते थे because after Shanti it used to come. तो वो कुछ memories ना 80s वाले बच्चों में आज भी है. So we relate to that, and so that is why I wanted to know. You still look the same. You still, I've been hearing you with the same energy. So क्या है राज इसका?
Please बता दीजिए. I used to drool on the like blouses that you used to wear, and I used to always. I remember those chiffon and crepe sarees and those really nice blouses.
But
yes.
you know, Roma, when I did that serial in those days, you know, the industry was not that advanced, and
very bold of
I
that time.
decided to wear that red wig.
Yeah, I remember that.
I cannot tell you how people used to abuse me. My friends thought I was mad. What are you doing? You're wearing that straight. But I thought I looked fabulous in that straight wig.
You look awesome, trust me.
Yes, absolutely.
I couldn't understand why people were so laughing at me and saying you're stupid. But I think it was a lovely, in fact, later on in life, for the last 5 years, I had my hair streaked red because I love that color. And I got so much flack for wearing that red wig. So, it took me a long time, you know, to just calm down and, you know, think that I had made the right decision to wear that red wig. And because I was shooting every single day, okay, in those days, we would shoot for 20 days a month, right? Because it was a daily soap. And if I had to blow dry my hair every day, I would have had no hair left. So I think I made the right decision with that red wig.
Absolutely,
But anyway,
you made a very smart decision, actually.
So I forgot the question.
My question was that how do you maintain yourself and how do you keep yourself so fit?
Oh, I don't know. I work out a lot. I definitely work out a lot. I have a personal trainer, and what? How do I keep myself fit? I don't know. I don't think anything special. I don't eat bad food. I eat very healthy. I am vegan. I don't eat animals. I don't eat dairy. I eat only plants and vegan food. And I think because of that, in the last 8 years, I've become much healthier. Basically, I've become healthy. And combined with that, with my working out, I think what happens is you get rejuvenated, your body, your metabolism becomes faster.
That's right.
So you don't wait, you know. And I don't take medicines. I don't go to doctors. I don't touch medicines because I feel that once you get onto a medication, that leads to some other medication, then a third medication, then a fourth medication. So I tend to stay away from drugs, and I just eat very healthy. And
I think that's the takeaway from you, that you do not take any medicines and depend, and you actually are taking all the natural things which are available.
Yeah, and basically also, you know, you have to keep yourself very strong mentally and spiritually, because when you're strong, then you don't become lazy. You know, you remain active all the time, and you become you want to do more things. Like I've started doing a lot of trekking. So I go for 6-day treks or 2-day treks or 10-day treks. So you tend to become more active when you're healthier. And and I tend to stay away from medication because I don't believe in medicating yourself, because it's not good.
Thank you so much, and wish you a very healthy and a happy life. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tanya. And
thank you.
We have in line Mr. Sandeep, who's joining us from Dubai. So we have a lot of readers and actually in Dubai.
Sandeep was here. I guess he's.
No worries. Till the time Sandeep is not around, we can continue our chat with Kitu ji. Are
We have
expecting?
few questions in the chat box. You can just take it from there, Roma.
Okay. So,
Just
all right. I can't see the chat box here.
You can't see. Okay. Let me just take them. Okay, so we have one from Seema Singh, right, Kitu? So, yeah, she's asking, extremely happy to see you. Enjoy watching all your TV shows. You still look, there's no question, it's just a statement. No, she's just another fan of yours. She wants to say something. So, enjoy watching all your TV shows. You still look so young and adorable. I love watching you. Stay blessed always.
oh, that's wonderful.
From Surangama. I can now read the comments here.
Yeah.
You want me to take them up? All right.
Yeah,
so
please.
we have got so many viewers right now watching us online, and I have got so many questions which I just had a look at because मैं आपको देखते देखते भूल गई that actually I'm the moderator of this show and I have to do this work. So, my apologies. So I have got this question from this beautiful lady, Surangama. She wants to ask, is taking on too much feels beautiful? Because you mentioned that you do a lot of things simultaneously and you do a lot of stuff and you're always on your toes. So she wants to ask, is taking on too much feels beautiful or is burdensome?
No, I take on a lot because I have so many interests and passions. The thing is that I always consider myself to be an eternal student, and there are so many things, like I said, I want to do, but I'm always behind schedule, and I'm always running to catch up. I'm a big. I study Indian philosophy, so I'm always running. Now I'm doing a course on the Bhagavad Gita. Then the next one I want to do on the Shastra, some other part of Indian philosophy, like the Puranas or the Brahma Sutras. I'm always like continuously on my list. I want to do this. Then I want to start doing origami in my free time, which is folding paper and making art objects, because I've always been very good with my hands. And when I was young, I used to be very good with my hands. I used to be able to make stuff, craft. So I feel that nowadays one has a lot of free time when one is not shooting. So I want to take that up. Then I want to go back to playing the bansuri, because I studied 8 years of Indian classical flute. And then I had to stop because I became busy and my Guruji went off to the US. And so now from in the coming year, second half of the year, I want to do it, not for any major reason, but just to be able to play, because I have those beautiful bansuris. So then I want to continue my travel, which is trekking, basically trekking, because it's a different kind of travel. It's not like staying in a hotel, in a luxury hotel. When you're trekking, you're actually seeing the countryside and you're meeting people in the countryside and you're seeing the beautiful nature and landscapes. And, so that is a big passion now of mine. So I want to continue. So like I said, I have all these interests, and how much I'll be able to do, I don't know. But I think that it definitely keeps you young.
I think you're doing already much, much, much more than a single person is expected to do. I mean, how much more you want to do is actually amazes me. The entire idea is tickling my brain right now. Or kitna karenge? And not only this, I also read somewhere that you have learned Argentinian tango and Latin ballroom dance. Is that true? You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so from 2000, I started doing it seriously with Sandeep Soparkar, and for 10 years, I was learning from Sandeep and Latin ballroom, which is a lot of lovely Latin movement, and like cha-cha-cha and things like that, rumba, cha-cha-cha. I did a lot of performances with him. And then I moved from that to tango, and then I became very good at tango. So I can always go back and dance and stuff like that. So I mean, that is it's like a hobby. It's not something I do professionally at all. But So yeah, I am definitely, and I love doing salsa when I'm free. I go to a salsa party. You know, we have all this salsa evenings in Bombay. So everyone gets together and dances, you know. So it's just something that keeps you. Another thing that keeps you young is dance. Dance is actually like the rhythm of life. So I think that everyone should take up dance, and it has been scientifically proven that a dance like the tango, I don't know whether you've ever seen anyone doing it. You can see it on YouTube. It actually is very good for older people with Alzheimer's and all the degenerative diseases you get when you're older. So if you regularly dance, and if you regularly do any kind of dance, whether it is cha-cha or rumba or salsa or jive or tango, it keeps you young if you dance a lot. And it's very good for brain diseases or brain degeneration.
Lovely.
It's been proven. Like Argentine tango is a contact dance, which means you actually have to be in contact with your partner. So that gives you a very good hormones. It makes you feel good. The feel good hormones, and it's very good for older people. So if you do a partner dance when you're older, like you go to like you have all these abroad, they have these evenings where everyone goes and dances, and it's very good for older people. So that dance is something that actually keeps you physically and mentally young.
That's wonderful. So the readers who are listening to this, mark your calendars, go to your coaches, watch on YouTube and start dancing. Tanya ne question pucha tha, what keeps you young? I think this is one of the things that definitely keeps you young. मैं भी dance करती हूँ, like you are bathroom singer, I'm a bathroom dancer, so whatever way you want to do it. But I think that's who actually do dance in my bathroom. So jokes apart,
No, that's not Roma. You have to go out and do partner dances, like where there is interaction. You can't sit in your bathroom.
I'm dancing, trust me. All right, so we before we put this whole really interesting conversation to end, trust me, and I don't want to end this because it's a Sunday and this is the best thing I could have done today. To talk to one of my favorites. I have a question from Pooja Singh, and I'll quickly read it. So she has written, so when we hear the name Kitu Gidwani, a poised, affluent, deep-pocketed, and at the same time badass lady image emerges. How are you in real life context to such traits? Wow. I think she's deeply influenced by your characters on the television. Do you want me to read the question again?
Yeah.
So she has written, so when we hear the name Kitu Gidwani, a poised, affluent, deep-pocketed, and at the same time badass lady emerges in our minds. How are you in real life in context to these traits? I don't think so anything of that sort for you anyway. But that's what our readers are asking.
Badass, definitely I'm badass. I mean, I know that nobody can put one over me, so that's one she's got right. But I'm definitely not deep-pocketed. So I don't know where she's got these words affluent and deep-pocketed. I'm definitely not affluent. I'm very middle class. I have no illusions about my affluence. I'm not Priyanka Chopra or Shah Rukh Khan. I am very normal actress. I do my project. Thank you very much. I thank God whenever I get a good project. But I'm definitely badass. That is one thing I have learned, guys, that nobody can look after me the way I can. And as a woman growing up in today's world, whether you're single or married or whatever, you better be badass and you better take responsibility for your own life, your own decisions, your own bad decisions. You take responsibility, and if you have to pull yourself out of a mess, you do it, because nobody's going to do it for you. Right? Not your family, not your husband, nobody. This is one thing I've learned, that I'm most comfortable when I have taken control of my life. That's it.
Absolutely.
Nobody can tell me what to do in life. Nobody can tell me when to go out, when to come back, what to do, what decisions to take, how to spend my money. Nobody, literally. Thankfully, my dad's not around. Otherwise, he would have been horrified. But
No, but
But
that's
I
absolutely all right. And that reflects on your face the kind of, I am a power lady kind of a thing is all over your aura. And I think that is something impressive and that is something we all can learn from. Though I and Aparna both are little badass ourselves. So
Yes.
we can resonate here. We both are badasses. So I don't know. Ending this lovely conversation with this note, because I also want to know this from you, and the reader has asked this. So Deepa Bachani from Mumbai itself, she wants to ask, how do you keep balance between work life and personal life? इतना सारा करती है, कैसे कर लेती है? मुझे भी जानना है ताकि मैं थोड़ा सा हम सब इंस्पायर हो सके.
I don't know. I mean, I think everybody has to find their own equation. See, I'm lucky because I don't have kids. If I had kids, I would have had a big struggle because I know that kids really, I am the firm believer that if you have kids, you have to be ready to sacrifice a lot, because otherwise don't have kids. And I'm not in the school that, oh, I'll have a kid and 6 months later I will dump that kid with a nanny and go off to work. I am not from that school. But my decision was not to have kids. That's a whole different area. But my point is, if I had had kids, I would have given up work. Right? And I would have stayed home for 5-10 years, which many people have done. Like Madhuri Dixit did exactly that. And I really, really commend her for that. But there are many women who have kids and just, it's like, I'll have the kid, but then to hell with the kid. And I'll go back to, I'm not that kind of a person, because I've seen what bad childhoods does to kids. So what I would say is that I'm lucky. I don't have to look after a family and kids. I do have to look after my 7 cats. Believe me, that is as big a responsibility. So when you talk about work-home balance, I cannot travel unless I've made full arrangements for my cats to be taken care of. So I can imagine what a family can do to you. It's very difficult. So work-home balance, every woman has to form her own equation with her conscience and with her family. Hopefully you will have supportive families, supportive husbands. And for me, I never had that problem. I was always free, and that's a choice I made. So I don't have those burdens or responsibilities on me. So I don't have that much of a struggle to balance home and work. I can just take off when I want, not take off if I don't feel like. So I'm blessed in that sense. Other women are blessed in another way, and that's a personal choice they have to make, whether what they value. Do they value? I do not believe you can have both. Nobody can have everything in life. Nobody. No, if any woman tells you she can have everything in life, you can bet that her children are not having a proper home life. You know what I mean? I have very strong views about this, because I feel if you're bringing a human being into the world, you must nurture them properly till they are able to stand on their own 2 feet. Right? So I think it's a choice. It's in every woman's head how she balances work and home. Every woman has her own way of juggling work and home. Some women are happy just being at home and they are very happy. Some women are happy just working. So it's an individual decision. And for me, I don't have a problem juggling it. Luckily, I can just follow my passions.
That is wonderful. That's really nice. And I wish I did not have to say this and bring this conversation to the end, but we have almost come to the end of this beautiful hour that we spent. And मुझे actually नहीं समझ में आया time चला कहाँ गया. तो मैंने अभी घड़ी देखा तो मुझे पता चला कि पूरा 1 घंटा हो चुका है. And we are.
I know.
So
I can talk for 3 hours, no problem.
So do I. So trust me, we can continue this conversation over our own personal chat box. And to our viewers, thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much, Kitu, for taking out time today. Trust me, so much I have learned today. And one really important part is I really need to be more badass, start exercising. I think Aparna, you too. So
Yes.
keep ourselves young and younger till we reach her age. So thank you so much, Kitu, and I hope we'll connect somewhere soon again, and keep reading our magazine to the viewers, to the listeners, to everybody who's connected with us right now. Women Shine is a page you have to go to and read a full-fledged interview. She's on the cover page of this month's magazine. And thank you, Aparna, for organizing this lovely talk. Thank you, Kitu. Anything you want to say to end this up? And I'm sure aapse sunna behtar lagega.
Indian women Zindabad.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. And this is Roma signing off as a host for the evening. Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you. Bye, Kitu. Thank you. Yeah.